And welcome back to Survivor Girl, the Survivor Girl podcast. This is a very special pre-recorded episode today, but it will be played on our normal Sunday episode. So happy Survivor Girl Sunday, everybody out there. I just want to go ahead before we get started, though. I want to give the disclaimer. I am not a therapist. I am not trained or licensed to be able to treat or to prescribe or any of that stuff. I do Survivor Girl just to be able to share my experiences and the things that I have thrived and survived through, and also to bring on guests to be able to share their stories as well, and hoping to uplift and possibly inspire others or to let them know that they are not alone. And today is an incredible episode. My very first international guests are joining me, Francis and Stephanie from the UK, correct?
Yeah.
I think we got you. Oh, yeah, there we go. There we are. We happen to have met over Xbox, actually, through my fiance. You guys game together and everything. And as I got to know more about your story and I have interacted with you guys, I was very excited that you guys agreed to join me today. We've talked several times on previous podcast episodes of things that Adam and I kind of go through with the anxiety, depression, different things that I go through on a daily and the things that he goes through. So I thought it'd be very interesting not only to have Francis on to share his story and different things that he faces on a daily basis, but also to have Stephanie, his wife, join us so that we can actually talk with her as well of how that goes with their relationship and the different things that they face together. So I'm going to go ahead and get into it. Welcome, you guys.
Hi.
Thank you again for joining me. I'm excited to have you guys. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Francis, and the things that we were talking beforehand, disabilities, different things that you face with work, family, and just give us a little bit of a background of what you face on a daily basis or different things that you have experienced.
I suffer with 2 or 3 mental disabilities at the current moment. Main one being Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, which causes a lot of day-to-day mishaps. I have to be reminded sometimes with my disability to eat, look after myself in many ways, like sleep, hygiene, because my brain just kind of goes into automatic mode, and Francis does what Francis does, is what my brain thinks. So I have to have a lot of help from Steph just to remind me to do those basic, simple tasks day to day. And alongside that, with work is very lenient, so that like they understand that I have some difficulties with how I function at work, and that it's very nice to see a workplace actually be considerate about my disabilities. In the past, I've not had that at all. And because I've not had that ability to be myself at work, and I've had to sort of trap my autism in a spot, it's caused me to have anxieties about it, and that led to depression and tics. Yeah, a lot of I suffer with another form of a slight form of Tourette's. So like clothing and stuff like that irritate me when I get anxious. It can be difficult on a day-to-day basis, but we get through it. And I feel like with what I've got, I try and strive every day to have a positive outlook, even with my depression. Especially recently, I had a loss in the family, which didn't help. Not by a long shot. But
of lockdowns and
yeah, we try and bounce off of each other a little bit and try and keep each other happy. But it's difficult. It is difficult. very recently I've not been able to sleep. um, but again, that's more to do with my autism than the depression. The depression doesn't help, but yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it in a form that is easy to explain. It's it's weird, isn't
It's
it?
like you've got alarms in your head constantly, and you're not, your body won't allow you to sleep.
Yeah.
You're tired,
Oh,
but
I can be exhausted
you
some days.
you won't sleep.
I can
Walk around like a zombie
just in the
until
automatic mode
you
right now.
until you completely drop.
But no, my autism doesn't. I try to not let it stop me doing things that I enjoy. I still go fishing. I go golfing. I even try very difficultly to go shopping. Um, because my autism ties off with my anxieties, I don't like big crowds, uh,
I
which can
understand that completely. I get
definitely
that.
be scary.
I have another
Um,
question though for you too. Now with the things that your disabilities that you have, do you find it difficult with people just looking at you and going, "Well, you look fine. Like it must not affect you. There must not be anything going on with you." Do you face that?
I I do, and I have to explain to people, especially when I first started my job in the kitchen where I'm at now. Uh, I explained to my boss that I had a slight form of autism,
ADHD.
ADHD, and Tourette's, and he was like, "Wow, I can't even tell." And I was like, "Yeah, you can't tell now."
Right.
I've had, like I always say, 26 years of experience keeping this stuff bottled in. So on a daily to day basis, people can't see how I'm affected. But you see me at my own home and on a day to day basis when I'm not interacting professionally, and it's a different story. I'm not a different person by any means, but I behave differently. I'm a little bit more relaxed. I don't have to. I don't seem as uptight.
I get it when if I say I'm out and I say, oh, I need to bring Francis, make sure he's doing this or make sure he's doing that, and people say, but why? And I explain why, and they go, oh, so you can still suffer with that while you're an adult. And I'm like, well, it doesn't just disappear.
Right.
Yeah,
It's from the day you are born until the day you die.
I get that a lot as well. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I thought
Well, it
ADHD and
doesn't look like
autism
it. And I'm
lasted
like,
only like a couple of years when you were a child." I'm like, "No, no, no, that stuff stays with you forever. That's some baggage you never get rid of." But it doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't have to make your life any worse. You can still lead a fulfilled life, even having
yeah,
disabilities. Um, and that's why I hate when people say, "Oh, I'm autistic and I've got this and I've got that, and
that means I can't do.
I can't do this and I can't do that," and they play off of it. And no offense to some people with the same disabilities, some people sometimes it's a more severe
They
case,
can't, but
but I've known one or two people with the same disabilities and the same sort of severity I've got it, and they play off of it because they feel like it's an easier route out and they don't have to explain themselves to people. And I just think that's worse for them in the long run because they can't then lead a life that they want to lead. They're always forced by people to do things, and that's not fair on them.
So do you feel like with them using it, it's kind of like more as a crutch?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Um,
you continue to live life fulfilled, and you face things, but you see people that have the same thing, and it's obviously like you said, it is different for every individual. But if you know that they have a more of a potential, maybe they're just not seeing it, or do you talk to them, any differently, or how does that go within, like, is it a friendship that you guys have, or?
I I see it sometimes in people. A lot of people don't understand that people with your disability or people with similar disabilities, they have like almost a sixth sense. They can pick it up. They're like, oh, I see, I understand, not a problem. I get you, mate. I'm cut from the same cloth. I understand. It's like I've got a friend, and he wouldn't mind me saying, he's not in the greatest places, and he suffers with what I've got, and I try every day to talk to him, make sure he's okay, because even though it's the same severity, he struggles with it because he's had a life of people telling him that it's not right to be the way he is, and that's not fair. And I had that while I was at work in one particular kitchen, and it destroyed my life. It really did impact me in such a way where I couldn't function. I was very suicidal. I was very depressed. I couldn't step out my house because it was painful to even see other people, because I just thought people were looking at me like I was broken. And now from that experience, I can say to him, you're not broken. You know what I mean? You are who you are, and you should enjoy that moment and enjoy that fact, because it's hindsight. I know from the experience that it will get better. Not a lot of people do. And it's hard to see friends in that position, especially when you've been in that position. Kind of breaks you down a little bit, and it makes you feel vulnerable. But like I say to people, vulnerable is not something to
Vulnerability isn't
something you should outlook. It's
No.
not a bad thing. Showing a vulnerable side is not something you should avoid. You should embrace it and tell people what you struggle with, and then they will help. You'll be surprised how many people out there will turn around and go, "It's fine. I can help you if you need it."
Yeah.
But it's trying to find those people. You know what I mean? Not everyone would be like that. Some, mind my language, some assholes do appear out the crack works, and you kind of push them aside. And it's
learning who's there for you and who's not.
yeah, and even weeding out the fakers.
Yeah.
Because I used to know someone that was like all friendly and pally with me because I have a disability, and then I found out later on that they were only doing it because they wanted to seem like a good person, sort of taking my disabilities as an advantage for them to get to know better people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a little bit disrespectful on my respect and what he did to me. But again, you've got to stay strong in those situations.
Good with the bad, don't you?
Exactly.
That's super hard to know who is really there for you. Like you said, it's kind of like, I'm sure at that moment when you were facing all those things from the other job and feeling, suicidal and dealing with all those different things, you really do see who is with you and who is not with you for the long haul. And in that situation, what did you guys do together? Did you face that as a team? Because obviously you were able to make it through that, but I'm imagining the different struggles that happen, different things that happen between you guys, and then trying to get where you are now.
It was difficult.
It's difficult, but it's once you're on the same sort of page, like, I don't know. It's like,
it was difficult for me.
yeah.
To begin with,
You didn't open up.
no,
You refused to open up with me.
I'm one of those people that will try and hide their emotions until it's too much.
Yeah.
I bear it in, and that destroyed our relationship to a degree for a little while, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because I
It
wouldn't
was
talk to
hard to
Stephanie.
stay in the same room.
I wouldn't talk to Stephanie, and then she'd ask questions, and I just wanted to be left alone. I was very self-destructive, you know what I mean, even with our relationship. Because I was being treated like absolute dirt.
Yeah.
I thought I
Unfortunately.
wasn't worth anything, so I would self-destruct my career, my relationship with Stephanie, even my children, and it made things really, really bad. But then we got the help that we needed.
Yeah.
Um, I,
And I refused to give up.
I really did struggle, and
I'm very persistent.
the breaking point for us was we had a severe argument
Yeah.
over nothing. I think it was like something to do
I
with
mean,
it.
there's probably some washing or
Yeah,
a
like,
bit of mess.
It was the tiniest of things, like something you don't usually argue about.
Right.
And it got not aggressive or violent, but very shouty. And
Yeah.
I can't control my emotions very well with my disabilities. So when I lash out 100%. I can't, there's no in between. There's no, oh, you're running up to it. It's from 0 to 100 in a millisecond.
Yeah.
So Stephanie knows when I'm about to turn, and she
Yeah.
kind of goes, not a problem, it's fine, just leave it.
That particular day, I wasn't having leaving it.
No, I'm kind of glad she didn't, because then after we'd had an argument and we'd shouted and we'd screamed at each other, we sat down and we did nothing but cry for about 2 hours straight. And
Kids included.
yeah, and it's easy to look back on now and see where I had that mistake, and I made that mistake. But a lot of people think tears are an emotional weakness, and it's not.
It's not.
You need that ability to release that emotion, and for us it was crying, and we needed it. And then after that, I kind of agreed with you. I was like, yeah, fine, we'll go to the doctors. I need something. And that's when I went on antidepressants for about 7 months. And then it started to mess with my sort of sleeping patterns even more.
Yeah.
So it was like, is there anything we can do herbal-wise? So I started to take up sort of meditation on my own. So I do that, and I'll meditate in my own way, which helps me relax. And I mean, now it's a lot easier. Now we know. Now we know where my limits are, and I'm not afraid anymore. How I used to be afraid to say to people, I'm upset, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to do that anymore. And people need to realize that it's scary. It's very scary to say, I'm hurt, I'm broken, I need help now. And I get that's why people, hurt themselves.
Yeah, because it's hard to tell someone that's the first step, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The first step of getting, I don't want to say better, because better isn't the right word.
The help you need.
Yeah, the first step of getting help is by telling someone, anyone.
And
doesn't matter if it's a doctor, a random person on the street, or
someone that cares about you, like your mum or your dad or your sisters, or your brothers. It's anyone, even your best friend that you've known since school. You need to tell someone if you're struggling, and a lot of people don't understand that it's hard for people like me who has that autism to say something, because even though you're depressed, that mental disability, that autism or Down syndrome, or people I know that have got severe disabilities, they can't emotionally escape, and they can't verbally accept that help.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes too late.
Yeah, sometimes it can be.
But it's good to have people that have been through it to help.
Scaffolding.
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things too that I think we could touch on too while you're talking about this is that even if you do go and tell somebody and they don't respond the way that you think they're going to, don't give up at just one person, because there is somebody that will listen, and don't give up at trying to get help.
Yeah.
I agree totally. And for me, it was you, my best friend Joe, who was an absolute dream, to be honest. He,
Pretty much over every other night, making sure that
Yeah.
you were still there,
because
still going.
even though I couldn't speak to Stephanie
You had
about it because of how close she was to me, I had Joe. I could say to
Yeah.
Joe, look, I need you to watch out for me, please,
Yeah.
because I don't know what I'm about to do. And he knew then he could take that time to go, right, I need to talk to work and I'll see what I can do. And he took like a week off work
Oh wow.
to come round every day for a week just to make sure that I was taking my medication, to see if I was all right, if I wanted to go out and go for a walk. And it's friends like that you need, for sure. But anyone can be that friend as long as you put the effort in. And, pardon me, and you're willing to
Okay.
communicate with people. If you don't communicate, you don't go anywhere. I learned very quickly. And that's why I'm not afraid now to talk about it, because it's hindsight at the end of the day. You know, because you've been through it.
Yeah.
And those people that are going through it need that sort of help.
They need the support to show them that it's not a bad thing to talk.
Yeah, it's not a fear you should have, being able to communicate about your disabilities. Like me as a chef, that's extremely hectic work. You know, I'm in a kitchen for 12, 16 hours at a time in, you know, a high heat situation where people are running around screaming, swearing, you know, in some crisis moments even throwing food around. That's not cooked, this is not done, that needs doing. And it's so stressful. And people think with my disability, and other people's as well, especially I feel, that it's a good stress. You know what I mean? People, like Stephanie would say,
pushes you.
it pushes me to a limit and it makes
Yeah.
me grow as a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know,
You wouldn't have been able to do the job you're in now when I first met you,
no,
because you've grown so much from that day to now.
and it's because of the career I do, because I
Yeah.
put myself in those difficult
And
situations.
you had the friends at college that would push you and
Yeah,
tell you to stop being so stupid.
and kind of believe in myself.
Yeah.
I think, even
That's
to this
one of
day,
the biggest things, is
Even- yeah.
believing in yourself.
I don't believe in myself as a person. I don't believe that I will ever truly hit my fullest potential. I will always try, but I put myself down. I
Put
kind
yourself
of,
down a lot.
yeah, I kind of go, you're not worthy of this.
Right.
Stop what you're doing and do something else.
Especially if you're cooking. Like, you'll cook something and go, oh, that's rubbish. But then everyone else is sat there going, what? But it's not rubbish.
Yeah, I think that's the perfectionist in me. You know,
Yeah.
I will try so hard, and my brain kind of goes, "What are you doing? Stop being an idiot." And you know what I mean, and puts myself into this little rut of where I don't believe that I can do anything, and I'm not any good at my job or anything like that. And it's a fighting battle, and it's a battle I want to win.
And it sounds like you are, you know, at this point, everything that you've faced already and where you are at right now, that you are winning. Even when you have those moments where you don't feel like you are bringing it full force to the table or whatever it is that you're doing. So what is something that we could tell some of our listeners? What do you do in those moments when you have that self-doubt? Because I know I even have those moments where I am very critical of things that I'm making, like cooking. I'm not a chef by any means, but even with my cooking and art and everything that I do, I think we all face those moments. And I'm not downplaying, you know, what you go through. But what do you do in those moments when you feel like you want to give up? Like, what has changed since having the breakdown to where you are now and coming back up from that?
So before everything, I didn't really have anyone to tell me or communicate how to get forward from that rut. But my current boss gave me a fantastic bit of advice. If you ever feel, or if I ever feel that I'm not good enough, just stop what you're doing, take 5 minutes and look at what I've accomplished. Look at what I've done in the last year with everything that's gone off. You know, even with the pandemic and, you know, through my downstreams and my up goes and what I've had to fight through and what I've got that I know I can keep forever, like my family, my kids, you know, and friends that like care for me and friends that I care for. Stop and realize that even though you're not having the greatest day right there and then, it's not the worst thing in the world.
No.
You've got everyone else and they will help. And after realizing that, I'm like, actually, I'm not doing that bad. Actually, I'm doing fantastically well. And it kind of gives me this new outlook. And I'm like, yeah, I can go for it.
Gives you a bit more confidence.
Yeah, and it's that confidence that I need sometimes to get me out of that rut. And there's been a few occasions when I'm at work and I'm like, oh, chef, can I just step out for 5 minutes? And he'll know that I just need to stop and think about the accomplishments that I've done at work. Like we had in the UK something called Help Out to Eat Out.
No, eat out to help out.
Eat Out to Help Out.
Forever getting that wrong.
Always. But it was a hell moment for people in our industry.
It was awful. I don't think I saw you for a good month.
It was
Other
60-hour
than
weeks,
make sure
70-hour
you were up
weeks.
for work.
It was awful, and it was all about the catering industry giving 50% off to help people come back into the businesses, and we would do like 3,000-4,000 people a day going through, and it was so draining.
Yeah.
But afterwards, my boss came to me and said, "Do you know what? Out of all my employees, I'm most impressed with you because of what you've got and what you're struggling with.
So
you powered through that like an absolute demon." And yeah, I was only freshly in it. I was only been there like 2 months, and to power through it, he was very like, just whenever you feel down, whenever you got that moment of doubt and that self-disbelief, look at this week and this month that you've just had to fight through and go, bollocks to the world, I can do anything, because it was a nightmare. It honestly was. I think we lost 3 chefs in that 1 week because people couldn't handle the rate that people were ordering food. And just to put it in perspective, I know it might be hard for the conversion, but for us, an average week in costs is around about £5,000. So that's a good week for us. During Help Out to Eat Out, we almost did triple that.
Oh, wow.
Eat out to help out.
Eat Out. But yeah, we almost did triple our intake of an average good week, which was scary. It really was. And the sores that we had on our hands, like the blisters.
Yeah.
I had blisters all over my hands from holding my knife because it was so hot during that summer period.
Yeah.
It was painful. Like after it all settled down and everyone was like, I had to take a week off work because like my back, I couldn't move my back, my legs, my arms. Luckily, everyone took their own week off, so everyone got a turn of taking a week off. But
That's well deserved too.
It was definitely one of those moments you kind of take a breath and you're like, thank God, I never have to do that again.
So never.
Just
I was
no,
gonna
I
say,
know.
she probably felt the same exact way. But on another note too, with that career and everything that's been going down with being in lockdown and everything, I know we're not the same over here, but kind of. But being in the food industry has kind of came to a crawl and a stop and a halt here. I don't know if it's been the same there. And if so,
Yeah.
how are you guys dealing with the time off and with everything that you face? How is that coming into play for you? Is it a good thing to have a little bit of time off, or how are you dealing with that?
I hate it. I'm not gonna lie, I really do.
It's the one thing that kept your routine going,
I-
wasn't it?
I'm-
Going to work, knowing that you were going to work at a certain time and had to be up. Whereas now it's like, oh well, I don't have to be up, so I can sleep whenever. And your brain's just kind of gone, well, if I can sleep whenever, then I don't have to sleep at all.
Which is it's, this month, especially with losing my family member and not being at work, it's caused me to go back into my old ways. It's caused
Yeah.
me to have doubt again that it won't turn out fine. And with my industry, in the last year, 4 million people in our industry have lost their jobs in the UK,
Wow.
and that's a lot of people. And I was almost one of them. Our company almost went, we can't afford to keep this open. But luckily they had some luck in their stocks, which give them a lot of extra money to keep us open and us going. And that was lucky. But there's a lot of people in our industry that are going, what do I do? I've got no job, I've got no money, I've got no income. If that was to happen to me now, I don't think I'd survive it, because it already, with not having work,
Yeah.
it's difficult trying to have a day-to-day life with meaning at the moment. It's difficult.
It's hard, yeah.
And I've,
So you've been off since beginning of November, haven't you?
yeah, and then
So,
before that I was at work for 3 months, and then I had another 6 months off. So
Yeah.
I've almost had a full year off of work.
yeah.
And if it wasn't for the children, if it wasn't for my 2 little girls, I don't think I'd be where I am now. I don't
No.
think I'd still have that mentality to push forward. I think it would be even harder, because I look at them and I'm like, well, I can do this with them.
Yeah.
I can help my eldest with her homework. We can do arts and crafts, and it helps.
Do the cooking and
Yeah, do the
Right.
cooking.
her
Do-
bike riding.
Go for nature walks and
Yeah.
and point out the different animals and creatures and help them learn that way, and it helps. But
It helps not only you, but it helps them as well.
I'm not
doesn't
going
it?
to lie, it's not 100% helping by
No.
any means. I'm struggling to sleep, I'm struggling to eat. I'm not eating healthfully because I've got no routine. I need work, and it's difficult.
And a routine is
I think
very,
it's
very
more-
important for, someone that deals with the different disabilities and different things that you have going on. And not only that, I can imagine, I know from experience not being able to sleep. And for me, routine is, if it's shot, I have such a hard time and feel that the same of not feeling like I'm doing enough. And my brain is constantly going to, okay, what more can I be doing? So I'm wondering, with what you face, are you feeling a little bit of that too, of what more could I be doing and getting into a routine again? Like, is that going to be something easy to get back into when you start work? Like, how are you planning for something like that?
First week will probably be
The first week,
mayhem
yeah,
for you.
it will be.
But
Like,
as soon as you
it'll be a
get
nightmare.
into the second week, it'll be
Back to normal.
back to normal.
Jumping from routine to routine's terrible for me, but it usually happens quite quickly,
Yeah.
quicker than I think it would.
I always
It's
underestimate.
strange.
As soon as a new routine comes in, my head goes, oh God, how's he going to deal with it? And then in the next few days, I'm like, oh, it's like nothing. It's like that's been
Yeah.
there the whole time.
It's like nothing's changed. It's like now, I've not been sleeping very well because of obviously the lockdown and not being able to,
I'm not getting your energy out.
not being able
Need
to
sleep.
move or anything like that. And I finally did it, didn't I?
Yeah.
I finally got into that routine of waking up at 9 a.m. and going to bed at 9 p.m.
Because I'm going to bed at 9 a.m. I'm getting up at 9 a.m. That's
It's a good day,
impressive.
But then last night, again, for no apparent reason other than my brain being my brain, I didn't get to sleep until 7.
Yeah.
So I went to bed at what, 9, 10? And then I woke up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that routine that I'd got myself into lasted a day because my brain was like, no, you don't need to sleep. Right now,
Yeah.
you need to do this. Right now, you need to think about what you're going to do tomorrow. And
tomorrow comes and you can't do that thing
Because
because
I'm
your brain
tired.
decided to think about it.
I think if I was to give any advice, is don't be hard on yourself because you can't get into a regular routine if you've got autism or you suffer with ADHD or anything like that, because it's just your body trying to cope with the stresses it's got. So when you do get back into your own work, you'll find
The routine
it'll
will
be
come quickly.
quite quick that you'll get back into that normal routine, because you've got that everyday moment of going, yes, I can get up and go to work.
Yeah.
I've got something to do.
It's a good feeling when you actually have, a routine set. Some people they're not good with routine, but I'm right with you. I'm on board with the routine train because for me, if I don't have it, I'm all over the place. But Stephanie, how does that affect you with him going to sleep at different hours? And, if you have plans to do something with him and the kids, or, how has this affected you with him being home as well? Do you feel like you guys have come closer, or, what kind of things do you jump through, with all of this going on?
Oh, the sleeping wise, I think we've got to the point, like the girls and me, like if we set something out that we're going to do something, and I come downstairs and notice that he's either only just gone to sleep or he's been up for 18 plus hours, I then either do what we were going to do with the girls myself, or I say we'll do it when Daddy's feeling better or feeling more up to it. And they know. So I've spoke to our eldest about Francis's disabilities, and she understands them to a point. So she understands that Daddy doesn't sleep like most people do, and sometimes Daddy gets cross at things when he's really tired or just having what we call moments. And she knows when Daddy's having a moment, it's not because Daddy doesn't like her or Daddy doesn't love her, it's because Daddy's brain just isn't quite the same as everybody else's. That's how we've explained it to her at the moment, because she's only 6, so it's not, she doesn't quite get it, but she gets it enough. As for being in the house together, I don't know.
Sometimes I've woken up and I'm gone, damn, why she's like
Yeah.
hovering over me, making sure I'm okay. I'm like, shit, she's gonna kill me. But no, it's.
Do you think we've got
stressful.
closer? I don't think we've got closer.
I think we got more emotionally attached.
Yeah.
I think
when it comes back to going back to normal, I think I'm going to struggle more because I'm not going to have someone to fall back on if I'm having a bad day. If I'm having a bad knee and hip day, I've got no one to fall back on. I'm going to have to just get on with it.
Yeah. You're right. I think we've probably got more emotionally attached. Our relationship is not any different.
I think the kids, when they go back, that's going to be difficult. Because that's one of the reasons why we didn't send Lola back to school the first time, wasn't it? Because you were still at home, and we spoke to her, and she said that she didn't want to go to school and have all of her family at home. Where, like we're sending her away because we don't like her for I think 8 hours, 6 hours.
I don't know. Schools have changed.
School hours.
When I was at school, you'd spend 12 hours at school and then go home. Now it's like 8.
Yeah, she didn't want to be sent to school like she's done something wrong to then come home to us as a family, her little sister and mummy and daddy have done but baking and colouring and going shopping.
It shouldn't want to get left out.
Yeah, she didn't want to get left out, so we kept her off at that time. But it would have only been a month at school anyway.
I feel that's what we are, isn't it? I think as soon as
Yeah.
I disappear, I think I'll feel a little bit lost without you.
Yeah, left out.
And a bit like, oh, where's Steph? This is weird.
What's she doing?
And you'll be the same. Like,
Yeah.
what's he doing at work? Why have he not called me in like the last 15 minutes?
Need to know what you're doing every second of the day.
But
So it'll be peaceful.
yeah,
I might get a clean house again.
I think less of the bumping into each other because we're stressed.
Yeah.
Because it's been in the same house for six days in a straight, and
6 days.
well, not
6 months.
don't go out.
Feels like it, huh?
Yeah, it's
We only go out to either go to the shops or
go on a walk.
go on a walk. Yeah. We don't really go out very often.
It gets
No,
you. It gets
I
you.
don't want to risk it.
It gets you becoming creative with what you guys kind of do, not only as a family but as a couple. You know, when everything kind of started for us, I feel like Adam and I in the beginning were really strong with everything still, and then we just got really creative with things to do and find, you know, go for a picnic or something. I mean, we just kind of. But as the winter started to hit for us, it was like, he's like, I'm going ice fishing. Good, go have fun. But I feel that like. The closeness, though, I feel like going through something like this together has made a lot of people stronger, but a lot of other people it kind of brought out true colors. So it's refreshing to hear that not only with what's happened that you guys are still going strong with all of that. Has it changed with the schoolwork at home? Is it different there for you guys? I know that's been a big stressor here. Is helping the kids with their online schooling. Is that something still going on there for you?
It's weird because she doesn't do online schooling.
No,
does she? So
because she's only 6.
Oh, okay.
The school that Lola goes to, she doesn't do like Zoom classes and things like that. I know there's some schools that do at that age, but our school's doing more like we've got this app called Dojo, and her teacher will put her lessons or that day's work that needs to be done on there. And we either print it out or the school prints it out for us and we go and pick it up and she'll do that. So currently this week it's mental health awareness for children. So they're doing a lot of self-esteem work and what I think one of them is
what makes them scared? What do they fear most is going to happen in the future?
And what they like about themselves, what they're good at, and a lot of quotes that they can colour in and put on their walls and things like that they can read when they're feeling down, making sure that they know that it's okay to feel like that, but make sure you tell someone and they'll help you. Go outside, close your eyes, listen to what you can hear. Things like that. That's
Sometimes
her work this week.
Listen to the breeze, the birds, and
other than your adding and subtracting work. They're doing a lot of creativity work.
It's like emotional development work.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of emotional development this week. And Lola's doing a lot of book work. So last week's book was Pirates Love Underpants.
Okay.
Yeah. And this
That's good
week's
though.
something
Like it's good that they're starting to have that kind of developmental, you know, to know when it's okay to be sad. It's okay to have the emotions, and you know, I'm sure with everything that we've been talking about, that helps with what they face on a daily basis with you guys as well. So that's good to know that they're giving that kind of work there. So through everything and going back to work, have they told you yet when you're able to go back to work?
Not a clue. No idea.
It's all down to what the government decide.
The government said it could be late March, early April.
Schools are saying, well, the government's saying that hopefully schools should be back by the 8th of March. but that's not set in stone. And hospitality will be one of the last ones
yeah.
to reopen.
It's always first one to go,
First one to
last one
close,
to
last one
open.
to open.
So my boss says that it could be late April, early
Yeah.
July before I go back to work.
June.
June,
I
sorry.
don't know. Wait.
Was that right? July?
May.
May. Okay.
Maybe we need to go back to school.
I think we just need away from home time, I think.
She's counting it on, marking the calendar down, you know, ready for.
Ready to
Yeah.
kick me out the door. Like, what? Bugger off. Yeah, like early May, late April.
No, wrong way. Late April, early May, if you're going to do it the right way around.
Constantly,
Do the same. It's
constantly
okay.
helping me out.
That's all right. I've come to find too that with everything that we've been facing, a lot more people that have not had or experienced depression, anxiety, or any of those things, I kind of feel like we're seeing more of that with people. Do you feel with the experiences that you both have gone through that you're able to notice that in some of your friends and family and are able to help them through what they're going through at this time?
Before it's
yeah.
happened,
Wait.
a lot of the time, yes. Brings me back to someone that I work with has a friend in the same company but in a different restaurant, and the first month through the first lockdown, his friend killed himself because he had no one. He was left alone. Had no ability to talk to anyone, and I saw that hit him hard.
Yeah.
And I think if it wasn't for me looking at him and going like, no, dude, don't even think about what you think you're gonna do. Like, talk to me first. You know what I mean? We can talk this out. And I
I've
think
had a few friends that are. Well, I've seen signs in some friends, and I've gone, right, before we even go any further. Before we go further in a conversation, tell me what's wrong. What's wrong? Why are you feeling the way you're feeling?
it's definitely easier to clue on to something like that.
Yeah.
But if you've gone through it, even with like yourself, like you've not physically gone through a form of depression, but because of me, you can sort of go, wait a minute, something wrong with you. Stop there. What we're talking about. Tell me what's wrong.
Yeah. Well, I've done it to myself before now. I've sat in the kitchen going, hold on, rewind. I've done this like for 3 days in a row. I've not been for a shower. There's something wrong. Snap out of it. Get in the shower. Figure it out.
Yeah,
Like,
it's got easy to physically see. Like if I was to talk to someone over the phone, I think it would be harder because you can't take over those cues in someone's voice. But if you can see how they act, it's like Joe, my friend that helped me with my depression. I've seen in him that he's not 100%. Like there's something wrong, and he won't tell me.
And he's just struggling because now he's on his own, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not got anyone, and he won't tell me that there's something wrong. I know there's something wrong, and I will push, and if he doesn't want to share, if he doesn't want to share, that's fine. But he needs to know that I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
To help out if he does need me. And a lot of the times that's all you need is to show someone that you're there, even if they don't want to talk, you know, and you can see them, even just walk up to someone like a friend or a family member when you see them struggling, just give them a hug.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just give them that physical, emotional, you know. And I know it's difficult with the pandemic, not being able to hug your friends and say, look, it's fine. But you can your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you see someone in your family, do it. Give your family member a hug and say, look, I'm here. You know, it's like my nephew's he's only 13 years old, and he's been through a lot. His dad's not the best dad in the world, and he had to stay with his nana now he lives with my mum, his nana, and before that he lived with his great nana before she unfortunately passed away this December. My nan, his great nana, was his emotional rock. He had no one else but her. He thought she was.
He thought that was it, and
You know what I
didn't
mean?
quite realise that he had the support he actually does have.
Exactly.
And I think it's taken him.
It's taken him a long while.
Yeah.
Um,
It shocked him that he's got that support, but
you know what I mean? And it's hard to see my nephew. He's, like I said, he's only 13 years old, and he suffers with manic depression. You know, and a 13-year-old having depression is a lot of people like, how's that happened? But
kids
he's
go through so much now, though.
he's not had the, like I
So
say, he's
much
not had the
pressure.
best of luck, but I can talk to him and I can say to him, I've been through it. You know, if you want to talk. Don't be afraid. You know what I mean? He's my nephew, and I'll take the mick out of him, like all family members do. You know what I mean? My brother to this day, he's like, 3 years older than me, and he still pushes me around like I'm a 4-year-old, and he's 6. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's family bonding moments. But if he ever feels bad or emotionally vulnerable, he knows that he can come up to you or me, just
Yeah.
give me a hug, and I tell him it's fine. But it's definitely easier to notice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's definitely easy to notice when people go through it.
And I know that you bring up, him being 13 and it being, we think about that and going, man, 13 is a really young age. When I was doing the mental first aid classes here, I learned that 10 and 11-year-olds usually are a big number of kids that start getting depression at that young of an age. And I think because of our society and how busy we are constantly going, that gets missed a lot of times. So to be able, unfortunately, in this time, and I'm so sorry for your guys' loss, for this happening and it happening during this time, and for you guys to notice and other people to notice that he needs somebody to be like, hey, your emotions are okay. It's going to be okay, and to give a hug and to see that. I think hopefully more people are seeing that with kids that are going through depression because they are at home with them or closer to them at this time. But it's just it's hard to notice or to realize that that's what's going on with these kids these days. And are you feel like you're closer with him now with what he's going through, or
You're a lot closer to him than that.
I am.
But then you talk to him through your games and
Yeah, like we're not like next door neighbours. We live a good hour and a half away, so it's not always easy to go and see them. But I can
Especially
always
now
get on my
when lockdown
Xbox and talk to him through that way, or even WhatsApp.
yeah.
And it's
He's like you, isn't he? He struggles with sleep and
it's like my mum says, he's a younger version of me.
it's really scary because he even looks like you.
He's even got the red hair as well, and it's like it's easier now.
Yeah,
And I can give him, I can mentor him a little bit and say, look, it's fine, and
he's not quite got to the point of opening up with me yet.
no.
He'll open up with you, but he won't
But then
quite open up
he's a
with me.
teenage boy and you are female, so he's
True.
probably
Give
going.
him a couple more years.
He's probably not. Like, he's 13. He's not emotionally secure. I mean, all he's got is a 13-year-old boy's brain. You know what I mean? Xbox, PlayStation, and
Girls.
and girls. That's it. You know what I mean? And even he forgets sometimes that his emotions are there. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
weird because at one moment he'll be happy and he'll be jumping around with joy, and then all of a sudden you just see him change into
It's like a flick of a switch.
it's almost like a black veil has just come across his mind, and it's closed everything off, and he just starts being all mopey,
Yeah.
and everyone thinks, oh, he's just a teenager, that's hormones. I'm sorry to say, that's just horseshit. You know what I mean? Even as a teenager myself, I never went through a phase of where I'd be happy and joyful and then depressed.
Instantly, yeah.
You know what I mean? It was, a lot of people will put it down to emotions because he's going through puberty or whatever, and it is just horseshit. You could tell that there was something wrong with him, and it's made me a lot stronger with him.
Yeah.
He's found that emotion with me now. He can sort of confide in me.
Taking the mick out of you as well.
Yeah, and I think that's how he's got. That's how he's got stronger as well. He's been able to take the mick out of me and tell me that, oh, shut up, you ginger git. You know what I mean? Even though he's ginger, and I think it shows him this sort of thing that it's not afraid to laugh, and it's not afraid to take the mickey out of your family members, because they're your family. At the end of the day, they're not gonna
hate you.
Yeah, it's just
You
fun.
just disappear.
It's what me and my brother used to call family banter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
I'm
what I mean?
familiar with that. Well, we're talking about that, and them saying that he looks like you, acts like you as a teenager. How was it for you with everything that you've gone through growing up? How was that for you, dealing with the disabilities? And you mentioned red hair and everything. I know as a kid, I got bullied so much. Did you face a lot of that growing up?
I'm not gonna lie, it was very difficult. As a child, I hadn't got a full grasp of my disabilities, so I was a very aggressive, very disobedient young man, and it was hard because I used to have people come up to me and bully me because of my hair and my weight, and it was upsetting. And there'd be moments where I would self-harm because I needed help, and it was the only way I could get help in my sense. People would see it and go, oh, okay, there's something wrong. Because I was still trying to push through how to control my own emotions. And with the disability as well, it was even harder. And I will snap quite easily with my aggression. And that causes, as a young boy, it caused me to lose a lot of friends. Because they'd say something and it'd be funny to them, but it wouldn't be funny to me. And all of a sudden I'd get really angry and I'd lash out, and I'd start throwing my fists around. Or chairs. Or tables.
Whatever was close.
Yeah, and
do the most damage.
everyone was like, oh, you're just crazy, you're just mental, you're not got any control or anything like that. And it's not that, it's not that I've not got control, it's I can't have any control emotionally. And it took a while. And luckily I went to a special education school. People with special educations like Down syndrome, ADHD, autism, Tourette's. I used to go to that type of school, and the staff members are amazing. And it's upsetting to hear that a lot of schools are treating people with disabilities like mine or similar, like normal children, but with bad behaviour, and it doesn't help anything, because in the future they'll just end up worse.
I think the biggest problem when it comes to schools and education is now they're getting a lot more money if they've got a child with disabilities. If they've got a child with disabilities in their school, then they get more money. So the school tries to keep hold of that child for as long as they can.
Even though they're not helping them.
Yeah.
Just
They're
because
not
they
helping
want
them
them.
up.
If they sent them to a special educational needs school, that child would thrive.
And they'd get the help they need.
Yeah.
But the schooling system over in the UK is not fantastic by any means, and it is for them. It's all about how much money they can get per child, and I'm kind of lucky in that respect that I had a school I could
Parents
go
would
to,
fight.
and parents that would go, "Look, oi, stop being an absolute
Poop face.
poop face and look after my son and treat him how he's meant to be treated, and notice that he's struggling, and notice that he's got this disability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not just a naughty child that can't control his anger and his emotions. He has this learning difficulty. He can't do English very well. So,
Yeah.
you know, help him. Stop treating it like you've got an extra £1.3 million in the bank per annual year because he goes to your school, and actually help my child.
We went back to your school, didn't we, when we moved here?
Yeah. And I was so like, God.
You walked around and were like, "This is my wife." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, you've got a wife? How when did that happen? You know what I mean? Because they still remember that child that they helped when, you know.
Wow.
But
I think the best one was one of your old teachers looked at me and went, "How the heck did you calm him down?" Like, as if they couldn't do it.
no,
Well, I didn't.
you know what I mean?
I don't feel
Yes.
like I physically did anything to help.
It was
But
weird because for me, I needed a routine. I needed someone almost like to tell me
strict.
to grow up. So at the age of 13, I went into the Army Cadets, which is, I don't know the equivalent for Americans. It's like Boy Scouts, but
Okay.
they would teach you military standards. So they would teach you how to do weapons, arms, and drill,
Don't know
like
me, I don't
PT,
know.
and how to camouflage yourself in a surrounding, how to start a fire. But it was all how they would do it in the actual army, the armed forces. And that gave me a lot of routine and a lot of structure and helped me a lot.
Yeah,
I think
you wanted to go into that as a career, didn't you?
I did. Once I finished the cadets, I did really well. You know, I got the highest I could get in the cadets. I was probably one of the best cadets in my squadron because I had that passion, because it gave me a routine, it gave me something to, you
Carry
know,
on.
get up in the morning and go, right,
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this amount of miles jog, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and God, it was so much fun. I do miss it because I wanted to go into the forces because of it. And then when I went, I left school and I stopped taking my Ritalin and my Concerta for my ADHD. I gained a lot of weight. And when I say a lot of weight, it was a lot. When I was
I don't know.
about 11 years old, I probably weighed no more than probably 85 pounds wet through. I was a very skinny boy, and now I weigh close to 240 pounds. And it's all because of that medication. And that's also after losing, because I went from getting rid of my medication at 11, going from about 85, 90 pounds to weighing close to 300 pounds in a year. And that's a lot of weight to gain in a year. And the doctors were worried and everything like that. And it was just because Ritalin is a food inhibitor in the brain. It makes your brain feel like you're not hungry, but also speeds up your metabolism. So when you come off of it, your brain goes, wait a minute, I'm starving. And your metabolism slows down, which makes you gain a lot of weight. So that didn't help. So when I wanted to go to join the army, they told me I was too fat. Told me that I'd have to lose the weight. Nonetheless, that I could pass their basic training with ease.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could run as fast as any of the skinnier people there, or anything. I could lift anything they wanted me to lift and pass my basic training. But because I weigh
What you weigh?
double the amount that I was meant to weigh, I couldn't get in. Which kind of forced me to choose my backup, wasn't it?
Yeah.
which was catering, and go into that and do that. So,
Bounce around jobs that way instead.
so yeah, as a kid, it was difficult, but I got there.
Yeah.
College, I think, helped me a lot.
Yeah.
I think that you've done a lot of really good things despite what you've gone through or what you've been facing. I see just by talking with you, you know, going from where you were, figuring out that routine is super important, changing different things around, and having such a great support system and staff, and having the kids and everything. I think that's something definitely to celebrate. And I think you've really gave us a great message today by telling people to talk with people. If you're feeling down, don't give up. If there's anything else though that you'd like to add before we wrap up, any other little bit of advice, I'll go ahead and let you do that, and then we'll end the show. This has been incredible. I thank you guys for joining me. I have a whole different look on the things that you face, and I know that my listeners will as well.
I think if I was going to give any advice, it would be don't be
Don't give
afraid
up.
to push, and don't be afraid of who you are. You know, don't listen to the people that are calling you ugly and fat and stupid or mentally impaired or crazy or anything,
words.
because the only person that actually matters in your life is you. You know what I mean? You are the only person that counts. Your questions, your answers, your ability to push and strive to be the person you want to be, that's all that counts. So you look in the mirror and you tell yourself you are the strongest, smartest, bravest person you know, right? And that'll give you an ability to step out of that morning and that day a brand new, bright and happy person. And that's my only advice I'd give anyone. Just don't listen to anyone. Listen to yourself. Listen to what's inside first.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much again for joining me, and I hope to touch base with you later on when you get back to work and back to routine and different things, so that we can kind of touch base and see how you're doing. I appreciate you both joining me tonight on the show, and I look forward to continuing to get to know you guys more. And I just appreciate you guys being my first international guest. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing your story. It's not always easy, but like you said in the beginning, it definitely does help other people that don't understand what you're going through or what they are going through. So thank you again. I appreciate it. And with that, guys, remember, life is best lived.